to Beware the Terrible. Today we're going to a splash party featuring a new Magikarp from Pokemon Go with a Raging Finn's attack doing 10 base damage plus 30 more for each Magikarp and Gyarados in your discard pile. It requires 2 colorless and can hit up to 280 max damage with Choice Belt. And since we need all of our Magikarp and Gyarados discarded for us to achieve that damage output, we actually need our Ditto to copy its attack. But for this list, we're only playing 2 copies just because we have our Ludicolo with the Enthusiastic Dance ability, helping us do 100 more damage to our opponent's active Pokemon. But this ability only works for your basic Pokemon and can only be used when you evolve it from your hand. In addition to that, we also have our Liepard for the draw support, helping us discard our Magikarp and Gyarados from our hand with this trade ability. We also have 1 copy of Grant to help us discard extra copies with this effect if it's in the discard pile. And to help us search for as many Magikarp and Gyarados into our hand, we got our Ball Guy Yamper combo to get our Pokeball and Great Ball from the deck, then retrieve them with the Ball Search ability, helping us keep digging for those cards. We also have our Scuba Net to recycle its ability, which can also work for our Ludicolo, 2 Quick Ball, 1 Heavy Ball, and 1 Ultra Ball for more Pokemon Search, 1 Rescue Carrier to retrieve our Ditto, 1 Pato Peak, and 1 Pokestop for our stadiums, helping us remove Temple of Sinnoh, which is going to deny us from attacking every single turn. Finally, for our supporter cards, we have 1 Bruno, 1 Marnie, 1 Research, 1 Peonia, 3 Ball Guys, and 1 Grant. We're also playing 1 Boss Order, 1 Choice Belt, 1 Capture, 3 Double Turbo, and 4 Twin Energies. So that's all for the deck list, and if you guys are in need of any specific cards or packs for your own PTCG account, feel free to contact our sponsor from X-Trainer90 team for the best price in Pokemon TCG online codes. You can contact them through the links in the description below, or you can click on the top right corner of this video. They even got complete personal decks you could purchase, full art, secret rare gold cards to add to your collection, and packs from any expansion in format. Brilliant Stars, Astro Radiance, Rebel Clash, you name it. And now let's go for gameplay! Let's go for our first game. We're up against Palkia V-Star. And then we got Dialga V-Star next. So it's a legendary duo. Let's play our Ditto. We get to play Ball Guy. That's great. On our first, well, on our second turn, because we actually go first. We got a few balls in our hand, so it's not bad. We got 2 Pokeballs. We actually got double heads, which is pretty lucky. Sometimes you get nothing with your Pokeball, but plus side is that if you get a few heads, you actually get to search for more cards than your regular VIB Pass level ball deck. If you play level ball with Chinchino or even Incense with Liepard, it's actually much more difficult than your Ball Guy, because Ball Guy gives you the extra chance of flipping a lot of heads. If you flip even less, you know, like 50% heads, if you flip like 40% even, it's still much better than your Evolution Incense. In my opinion, it actually works much better just because you get to search for more with your Yamper by playing your Scuba Net and your Ball Search ability to keep searching the top 7 cards of a deck, and also flip that coin for the extra power search. Because if you get to flip a heads, if you get a heads, you get to search for anything. You get to search for Gyarados, Liepard, Ludicolo, anything that you need at the moment, even a Ditto if you want to attack, if you need for it on your bench on the next turn. So the probable downside for this deck is that we don't have that many switch cards, only 2 Scuba Net, but we do have energies to attach. So whenever passing the turn, don't just leave your bench blank. Make sure you have at least 1 energy attached to one of your Liepards or your Yamper, just because if you have an energy already attached, you can actually retreat with that Pokemon on your next turn without having to dig for your Scuba Net, because we don't have any switch cards. We have no Bird Keeper, no Escape Rope, no switch. We only have that 2 copies. We only have 2 copies of Scuba Net to switch our Pokemons from the active spot. If you want to attack with a new bench, if we don't have a Ditto on our bench, for example, if we have too many Liepards and Yamper, and if we can't search for a Ditto, or if we don't want to bench a Magikarp, sometimes it's better to attack with Magikarp, because we have our Ludicolo to help us do a fast V knockout. With even our Magikarp, we don't need Ditto. That's the power of this deck. But if you want to, it's better always to bench your Ditto at the last minute, and then retreat with your Liepard with that energy, Double Turbo or Capture, and then attach a Twin Energy right after the retreat to attack with your Raging Finn doing sudden transformation. So that's the golden rule for this deck, is to keep on attaching energy every single turn, even if you don't need to attack, even if you are stalling. It's always better just to prepare for the retreat. Okay, we actually got our 3rd Purloin, and we flipped a lot of coins, but I don't think we did our Yamper just yet, so we didn't get our Ball Search but we're gonna do it later. We're gonna save it for later. I don't think they can attack that fast, but they do have that Greninja ready to go, and we don't have any Manaphy. No Manaphy at all for this deck, just because we're doing fast KOs and we're also doing, a lot of damage with that Ludicolo. But if they hit our Lotad on the bench, with damage counters like Hisuian Typhlosion, we actually got a Typhlosion matchup on the next one of the next games, which is interesting to watch, is because they are hitting your bench. They are hitting for that extra damage counter, for that extra knockout, collecting extra prizes every single turn. That means, they are not only disrupting your flow, but also collecting more prizes. Because if your Liepard gets knocked out before it evolves, you can't draw cards. If your Lotad gets knocked out before you Rare Candy or even Lombre evolve it, you cannot use his ability. And if you bench your Yamper, it's only 60 HP. It actually dies quite easily with your, if they place damage counters with that attack, or even do Greninja, Moonlight Shuriken. So bad thing about Moonlight Shuriken, as you all know, is that you have to discard 2 energy from that Pokemon. That means they are forced to discard and basically, get stuck one turn. But they do have that Star Portal, so it's actually pretty bad. It's looking pretty bad for us because now they have 2 prize. They are 1 prize ahead of us, and they got Star Portal next turn to do Moonlight Shuriken again. So we better be knocking out this Greninja right now, just to avoid the Star Portal. But they could quite easily do like Rod and Quick Ball to bench it back, and then Air Balloon Retreat, Star Portal again. So they can quite easily revive the Greninja even with a Nessa. I think they are playing a Nessa for this list, but they didn't get it at the right time though. Okay, we're gonna just search for more balls. I think we need a lot more discards to kill the Greninja. We actually have enough already. We have 4, which is equivalent to 130 damage, which is, well, we actually need 1 more discard, but we have it in our hand already. Because we are playing double turbo, we can't actually knock it out without an extra discard. Okay, here comes the Lotad, preparing for a Palkia and Starmie knockout. So interesting thing about this deck is that we can also attack with Yamper, playing double turbo or twin energy to do flop for 20 damage, or basically 0 damage. Because if you do double turbo, you're doing 20 less. But if you do enthusiastic dance, if you evolve your Ludicolo while attacking with your Yamper, you get to hit for 200 damage with double turbo, or even more with Choice Belt against a water type. So if they play water type V cards like Palkia or even Starmie, you can actually boss the Starmie on the bench and then knock it out with your Yamper Ludicolo combo. So Yamper actually does 200 plus damage with that Choice Belt as well. If you do Twin Energy Choice Belt on your Yamper and then Ludicolo, you can kill a Palkia V-Star. You can kill a Water type V-Star, except for Glaceon obviously because it's an Ice type. But any Water type is knocked out. 300 damage with your flop, boosted by Ludicolo's Enthusiastic Dance. Okay, they're gonna do Subspace Swell right now. They don't need a lot of damage, they just need to, top it off for that level ball knockout. They have to play Star Portal or Melanie, and they just played Irida, so that means they're wasting their V-Star ability for Palkia, which is actually really good, unless if they get, like a switch card, and then Rod back the Greninja. I don't know, they may switch the Palkia into another Greninja, but they have to revive it from the discard pile because they're not allowed to play more than 1 copy. The same Greninja, right? You can't play another copy. Okay, they just killed our Ditto. They got the Cross Switcher into their hand, but I suppose they are saving it for the next turn. So we have to be aware of that. They could quite easily choose to kill either the Ludicolo or like any Dittos that we bench. Unfortunately, I don't think we're able to attack this turn. We have to either kill the Palkia with another Ditto, or just dig for that Choice Belt Level Ball combo. Sorry, Choice Belt Twin Energy combo. We need both those cards though. So if we don't get both Choice Belt and the energy, we cannot kill the Palkia, and then they are down to 2 prize on the next turn. We actually have to waste another turn just to draw our 2 prize. I don't think we can win the game, right? So we better be doing a knockout this turn. It's pretty close though. We can still win if we can't kill the Palkia, because we actually have 1 extra turn if we kill both V cards in a row after passing this turn, not killing anything, not doing a knockout. So let's evolve the Ludicolo later, obviously. Once we know that we can do, we should actually keep the Lombre though and discard the rare candy. Well, we don't know though, right? We don't know if we are gonna play this turn, so it's better just to discard. We have 2 rare candies. I suppose it's better just to discard the Lombre. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what's the best thing to do. Sometimes it's a gamble. So let's get another Lotad. We got 2 Scuba Net and 2 rare candies in our hand. That means we get to play Ludicolo twice in a row. And we actually chose to discard the Pokeball instead of the Magikarp, because we can actually use Magikarp to attack, and I don't think we have the second copy of Ditto inside the deck. I think it's in the prize. Oh, we actually discarded the Ditto, so we have no more Ditto, but we do have 1 Magikarp left to use Raging Fin. So Magikarp actually needs energy to attack. We cannot attack this turn, unfortunately, because we got no energies, so we're forced to pause the turn, not doing anything, not even doing damage at all. So this is very bad. It's looking really bad for us. If they play Avery, we're going to be forced to discard 1 Lotad and possibly the Yamper. I don't think we should be using Yamper anymore, but it could actually help us though. I think it's better just to discard the Liepard and Lotad, because if we get our Twin Energy Choice Belt, we can kill, even after, we can kill the Starmie, right? We just need a double turbo to kill the Starmie. Double Turbo Ludicolo. So Avery is going to completely destroy this deck because we need so many bench supports. Not a lot though. We just need like 2 Liepards on the bench and 2 Lotads. So if they play that card, you just need to discard everything until you have 1 Lotad remaining and like 2 Liepards. I think that's good enough. And then all you need to do on the next turn is to retreat if you have an energy attached to your Liepard already. That's why it's always best. That's why I always say attach 1 energy to your Liepard even if you don't need it to attack, and if you can attack with it, it can at least do a decent 60 damage. With double turbo only 40, but you know, with a lot of psychic Pokemons out, so many psychic supports now. We got Mew from Celebrations, we got Cresselia. You can actually hit for a knockout with your Slash, 60 damage, which is not bad. A Darkness Pokemon, so it is a plus side that we get to do a knockout with Liepard as well sometimes. So let's do trade to draw out something that we need. I don't know what we need. What else do we need? So it's always important to keep your stadium cards. So I suppose I made a mistake right there, because your opponent can play at any moment, at any point in the game. They can just play a Temple of Sinnoh, and then you cannot attack. Like, that's how terrible that card is. Temple of Sinnoh completely blocks your Met Party deck, completely blocks your Magikarp deck. You need stadium cards to remove that card. Otherwise, your special energy is not going to work, because you need 2 colorless, and all of your special energy is going to act as only 1 colorless and has no other effect. That means double turbo doesn't reduce damage, but is only working as 1 colorless. Capture has no extra effect. It doesn't have you bench another basic. So we played our Peonia and then discarded a double turbo. Now we're gonna do our Scope Up Net combo. We got the Choice Belt, we got our Yamper, but I don't think Yamper is doing a knockout. So with the double turbo Choice Belt, it's doing 260 damage, because it's before, right? Before applying weakness and resistance, you add 30 damage. Before applying weakness and resistance, you reduce by 20 with your double turbo. So that means it's a net increase of 10 base damage before applying weakness, and that's a total of 130, which is multiplied by 2 into becoming 260 total damage. Not enough to kill the V-Star. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to play our Magikarp for this turn, and then, you know, hope to play our Yamper on the next to collect the Starmie knockout. So it's still anyone's game at this point because they can still attack with a 1 prize, doing Energy Switch or Raihan for Inteleon to do the knockout, because Inteleon, even the Rapid Strike one, can do 70 damage to kill the Magikarp, or anything for that matter in this deck, except for the Liepard. They can kill Ditto, they can kill Yamper, Lotad, they can kill a lot of things. So let's just bench the Lotad once more, just in case they boss it on the next turn. If they boss it though, we got our Magikarp to kill. You know, bad thing is that Magikarp is only 30 HP, so you have to watch out for that. If they play damage counters or spread decks, we don't have Manaphy in this deck, so if they play spread like Noivern, they can kill all of a Magikarp on the bench, so make sure you don't bench that many. Make sure you only play Magikarp when you have to, and do Ditto as much times as you can, but always save at least one Magikarp inside the deck or inside your hand, just because we only have that one carrier, only one rescue carrier to recycle our Ditto and revive that Pokemon. Because if we run out of it, or if we can't search for it, if we don't have it in our hand at the right time, we cannot attack, we got no Dittos left, and we have to rely on that one Magikarp. So even if you're only doing 220 damage, you cannot you're not able to hit for 250 with your Magikarp, but that's okay, because we have our Choice Belt to top it off. We even have our Ludicolo to add even more damage. 100 plus is enough to knock out a VMAX. A VMAX knockout with only 7 discarded Magikarp, 7 Magikarp, and Gyarados in a discard pile is a total of 220 plus 100. That's 320 damage. And here comes the Greninja again. If they have... Oh my god, it's a shady dealings. If they have Energy Switch, we're done for, because they got 2 prize remaining. Starmie has 0 retreat cost. That means all they need is either a Raihan or an Energy Switch. Well, they need both though, because they actually attached one from their hand already. That means they need both Raihan and Energy Switch. But I suppose they couldn't do it. They searched for a Palpad and a Scuba Net. They can search for another 2 trainer cards with another evolution, which is just Bonger Bananas. Here comes the Palpad. Are they gonna have a Raihan in the deck? I think they actually played the Nessa though. They played the Nessa, so they can't do the Raihan anymore. So I don't think they're able to attack with Greninja this turn. Greninja cannot attack, and they are actually retreating to the Sobble. Sobble is not doing a knockout. We only have 30 HP though. I want you guys to know that. I want to remind you guys that Magikarp only has 30 HP, and they are not able to knock it out because they don't have anything to attack. Palkia requires 3 energies because it's a basic. Everything else requires 2 energies, even the Sobble, and they cannot attack without Raihan. They don't got the Raihan. And they should have just done like the Quick Shoot in Inteleon. If they got the Quick Shoot and Scoop Up Net, they can actually play that ability twice. So I don't think they have it though. If they have it, they probably would have played it already. Because if they Quick Shoot twice with the Scoop Up Net, they can actually kill the Magikarp and then Starmie for the final knockout. But they need to do a boss though, because I don't think Starmie can kill anything. Even with the boss, I don't think Starmie can kill anything. Because Swift is only doing 50 base damage, I think. 50 base for Swift, and then 50x for the second attack. Aqua something. It does 50x for each energy attached to all of our opponent's Pokemon, but we don't have any more energies. If they kill the Magikarp, we have no energies in play. That means they are doing 0 damage with that attack. Okay, we just need to search for our Raihan, dig for that one card. If we have it, sorry, not Raihan, boss order. If we have our boss, it's the end of the game. There we go, we got our boss, 2 prize with the Ludicolo. We actually get to do 330 damage. If I'm not mistaken, 330 damage with our Magikarp. Oh, it's actually 310, I think. Because they're doing 30 less. So 320 minus 20 with the double turbo. But we got the choice belt plus 30, so 330, my bad. So if we do the choice belt on the Magikarp, we got 330 damage output from our Raging Fin. But we actually chose to do our Yamper because we got our choice belt and our twin energy. So we actually did 300 damage with our flop, doing enthusiastic dance for the damage boost. So Ludicolo, Yamper for the knockout, drawing the final 2 prize with our electric Pokemon. So that's 200 extra damage with your enthusiastic dance. Ludicolo is bonkers. I've seen people play like Ludicolo, Choice Belt, and like, you know, the basic box, the basic 1-type box, 1 prize, multi-type box. That was pretty smart. Because if you have like a basic Pokemon that does 30 damage, like Slash or anything, that does like 30 or even 20 damage, well, 30 damage is probably better. But if you do 30 damage, you can actually do Choice Belt and then Ludicolo. You got 160 base damage plus like the weakness, multiplied by weakness, which is 320 total damage is enough to kill most of the VMAXs. And good thing about Ludicolo is that it even works for your V cards. So you can play your V Pokemon like Dragapult. Well, Dragapult is only doing 30 base damage though. Pierce, Ice Rider Pierce does 40 damage. I think Lucario does 40 damage for 1 energy as well. The old Lucario does 40 damage plus 20 more to one of your opponent's bench. That's actually quite a lot though, right? 1 energy for like 60 total damage. That Lucario is quite powerful. So 40 damage plus Choice Belt plus Ludicolo, that's enough to kill Eternatus VMAX. But playing too many basic Vs is not good though, because if you're not evolving those cards, it gets knocked out pretty easily. And, you know, your opponent draws a lot of prize much faster and you can't actually win that easily anymore. Especially if you're up against a 1 prize, so it's always better to hit for a multi-range to make your deck, you know, have a better range to hit more wins against multiple matchups. You need to make it strong against different decks. Like if it's strong against VMAX, is it gonna you know, be good enough against a 1 prize? That's what we want to achieve, right? To a holistic deck that is super strong against not just VMAX and V-Stars, but also 1 prize decks. We want to achieve that, but sometimes it's just not possible for certain cards. Certain cards just don't have that potential. It doesn't have that capacity for, you know, it doesn't have the potential to shine, so to speak. It's just not meant to shine. We actually are playing Pierre's for this list. So Pierre's helps us get our Liepard and also our special energy. This is a bit of a different list because we have Birdkeeper, we have Pierre's, only 3 copies of Liepard. So it's a bit of a different game as well, because we don't have that many ball guys. I actually recommend playing as many copies as you can, because Ball Guy is gonna help you a lot in terms of your search. And if you can compress your deck from your ball cards, from your Pokemon cards as well, if you search, if you flip out heads, if you get, you know, Pokemon from the top 7 cards of your deck. We are playing so many Pokemons in the deck. It actually, it means we are very likely to draw something with our Great Ball, but not so likely with our Pokeball. But that's okay. All we need to do is Great Ball as many times as possible, and Yamper to Ball Search to recycle that card as well. And then drawing cards with our Liepard is gonna help us get our energies. Because by then we have very few cards in the deck left, hopefully. And we even have our Bruno, Marnie, Research, Peonia to fall back on if all else fails. So our only draw engine is Liepard, but for this list, we actually have a Radiant Venusaur. It doesn't actually work that well, because if you're drawing 2 cards at a time, if you're drawing 2 cards for each Liepard every single turn, chances are you have a lot of cards in your hand already. Passing the turn, you won't be able to draw any cards with your Venusaur. Because we're not playing that many items, we are playing so many Pokemons, and if we can't discard all of them, if we can't play all of them, we're playing so many evolutions as well. That means if we can't play them from our hand, they're gonna get stuck there. You're not gonna be able to empty your hand for Venusaur to do Sunny Bloom. So we actually did a Mew knockout. We killed the Mew celebrations with our Slash, doing only 40 damage against that Psychic Pokemon. So it's weak towards Dark type, we actually get to knock it out. And now they got no draw support. Greninja needs an energy for them to... We actually didn't get our path to the peak, unfortunately. If we got our path, then they actually are stuck completely. They cannot play Quick Ball for Crobat. They cannot play concealed cards to draw cards. So that means they are stuck completely. If we got our path to the peak, and we're actually playing 2 copies, we got it in our hand though. We didn't play it for some reason, because we're very afraid. We're very terrified, honestly, of that Temple of Sinnoh, because if they play it at any moment, they can play it anytime they want, at the last minute of the game as well. That's probably the most crushing, the soul crushing feeling, is that if they play that Temple of Sinnoh at the very last minute, denying you from attacking with that Twin Energy double turbo, then if you don't have any more stadium cards, you're completely screwed. That's why I always recommend, that's why the best practice is always to save your stadium cards till the very end. Save your stadium cards and don't use them unless you have to, unless if it's gonna help you a lot. Like if you get to draw extra prizes, then play it. If you get to remove the Temple of Sinnoh, then only then should you play your Path to the Peak. Or if you get to disrupt them a lot by denying them from attacking for an entire turn, maybe then it would be worth playing that stadium card. You never know though, because you never know what you're gonna top deck, you never know what you're gonna draw, you never really know what's gonna happen. So there's only that much control you have over the game. As with life, you can't really control everything. It's impossible. Like, I don't care what anyone says, it's just impossible. There's always an element of luck and, an element of skill. There's only so much you can do with your skill. Like, there's nothing you can do if luck screws you over. So we actually won that game because they conceded. They got nothing for 2 turns straight, and they just straight up conceded. I mean, Dialga, come on, you shouldn't be giving up. I guess we could be knocking it out on the next turn already because we got our Liepard, and it's quite easy for us to draw the energy card out. And all we need is that 1 energy. I think we already discarded enough for the Dialga knockout. Enough Magikarp and Gyarados. That means we just need the Twin Energy and possibly a Rare Candy evolution. If we got our Ludicolo, we don't even need that much discards. So that's the plus side of Ludicolo, is that if you get our boss early, you can actually boss the Dialga on the bench, and then Rare Candy evolve your Ludicolo to do a 1-hit knockout against that V Pokemon before it gets to do Star Chronos. Right after they played their Metal Saucer, right after they invested all of those saucers on that 1 copy of Dialga. So bossing it at the right time is always a big plus. And we do only have 1 copy of boss though. which is not bad, I suppose. But we have a lot of other cards to make this deck work. We have our Ludicolo to do one-hit knockouts. We have our Peonia to get extra copies of our Gyarados out from the prize. We have our Heavy Ball. We have our Bruno to draw extra cards to do the Rare Candy evolution. So I don't think we need that many bosses, honestly. It's better to play Scoop Up Net, more Scoop Up Nets, more Yamper, more Ball Guy to basically speed up your strategy. If you can discard fast, if you can do big damage early, then it's much better than doing a boss. Obviously, I would prefer having at least 2 copies of boss in any deck, but for this list, it just doesn't... It's just not, you know, conducive. It's just, I feel that it's better just to play 1 copy. But it's always, I don't know, always down to experimentation. You decide. I'll let you decide which one's best. And let me know in the comment section below if you guys think I should be playing more bosses in my deck. Because I really think that card is completely broken. And if you have like 3 bosses in your deck, I would say you have a high chance of winning. It doesn't matter what you play, honestly. Boss is that broken. Especially a 1 prize, like you don't need to do a 1-hit knockout. If you do a 1 prize, hitting like even 180 damage every single turn, all you need is 4 solid bosses in your deck, and then doing 180 every single turn earns you a V-Star knockout with 2 strikes, a V-Max knockout with 2 strikes. If you hit first, if you're fast, if you're faster than Palkia V-Star, which is a big thing to do though, it's actually a huge demand for a 1 prize deck. If you can attack first, then if you can do damage first, then you can actually win the game. Because that's the power of V-Star, I suppose. If you do 2-hit knockout, you're only drawing 2 prize, and passing 2 turns for 2 prize is not good, because they're gonna draw 1 prize every single turn. They got Greninja as well if you don't got Manaphy. If you don't play a Manaphy on your bench, Greninja is gonna swoop in and draw 2 prize in a single turn. So that's the power of Palkia V-Star. Okay, we got Peonia early. And we got a Bruno. We're gonna put the Bruno back, honestly, and draw it back out at the right time. We don't need it right now. So we're gonna put the double turbo and Bruno back. Well, we should be keeping the double turbo though. So let's put the Scoop Up Net and the Bruno, because we don't need it now. We need it later. We definitely need it later, but we don't need it now. So let's do our trade to discard the Gyarados. Always discard Gyarados first, because you never know if you need to attack with your Magikarp. Don't discard too many Magikarps. Always be aware that you need to be attacking with that Pokemon as well. Magikarp needs to be benched sometimes, because if you run out of a Ditto and if you don't get your rescue carrier, you cannot attack. Then discarding those Gyarados and Magikarps would be for nothing. So make sure you keep at least 1 in your hand sometimes. If you're confident that you can draw out the next one, then obviously discard this one right now. But we don't actually have a means to discard, because we only have 1 Liepard, unfortunately. So we got a late start. Didn't get our Ball Guy, didn't get our Great Ball, Level Ball. We don't have Level Ball for this deck. Didn't get our Great Ball, Pokeball, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball. We did flip a coin with that 1 Pokeball. Okay, we did Slash for 120 damage, which is gonna help us a lot later in the game. You'll see 120 damage on that Shadow Rider, and they actually evolved it, which is a big no-no, because it's a VMAX. So if we kill the VMAX, we get 3 prize for only 2 strikes. And killing the V-Star for 1 strike is going to be quite difficult if we don't get our Ludicolo, if we don't get our Choice Belt. I don't think it's that easy. Ludicolo doesn't work for Liepard because Liepard is an evolution. So Liepard only does 60 damage with Slash. It cannot do more than that. If they're playing a Psychic Ghost type, you only get to do 120 damage max. Okay, let's get the Gyarados. We should be getting the Purloin though, right? I think it's smarter to play the Purloin because we got a Liepard in our hand, a Magikarp as well. We actually get to play our Pokestop, but I think we played it on the first turn and it screwed us over. We actually discarded like Yamper and 2 evolutions with that crazy, terrible. Yeah, it's quite terrible. Now we got no stadium cards. Now we got no stadium cards left. So Pokestop never, not never, but sometimes it's just a terrible card to be playing. Because if you discard your Liepard, if you discard your Gyarados though, it's gonna help you a lot. If you discard your balls, it's gonna help you draw it into your hand. If you discard your trainer cards, your supporter cards, my bad, your supporter and your stadium, you cannot retrieve those cards. Without Paul Pad, obviously, or Roseanne. And it actually it runs the risk also of discarding your special energies, which is a big no-no for a 1-price deck. So I always prefer to play Flaffy with Pokestop, because Flaffy Pokestop helps you reattach from your discard pile. If you get your Rescue Carrier, you get to retrieve your Flaffy, instead of, you know, in the event that if you discard it, with your Pokestop you get to retrieve it still. Pokestop, Flaffy, Rescue Carrier, what else? Level Ball. It's a good combo. You need a lot of basic lightning though, if you want to discard it fast. Here comes Typhlosion, and I think they're gonna hit the 3 damage counter on the Lotad, forcing us to evolve it on the next turn. Because if we don't, Lotad is going to get knocked out. They're going to get an extra prize. We're not going to be able to do Enthusiastic Dance. I think the best move for them is to hit the Lotad right now. And they actually did it. So we got a double turbo in our hand. If we don't get the Rare Candy evolution, we are not able to do it. I don't think we got to kill the Typhlosion this turn, unfortunately. It would be pretty cool though, but we didn't get enough Liepards to start, and we actually discarded the wrong cards again, so it screwed us over like 3 turns. 3 turns straight. Pokestop just completely destroyed our life for 3 discards. Okay, we got our Ludicolo but no rare candies. I think we attached the double turbo, because I don't think we have that many twins left. We discarded 3 twins already. Now we're left with 1 twin energy and 1 double turbo. So this is really bad. It's looking quite terrible. I think we have 2 more double turbo, my bad. So 2 more double turbo in addition to this one. The one already attached. Okay, we get to discard another Magikarp. I don't think it's enough though. We got another Liepard. We're trying to get the rare candy into our hand. If we can dig for that card, I think we got our knockout. I'm not too sure though, because we have a double turbo attached. So no rare candy, look at that. I'm a bit sad. We should have just played the trade first before, but if we do that though, I don't think we can discard enough Magikarps. We're only doing 110 damage. Only 110 because we couldn't manage to discard enough Magikarps and Gyaradoses. Playing only one Liepard to start. I mean, it's a really slow start. We got a really slow start. We can actually start fast if we get the right cards into our hand. If we get a Ball Guy, for example, and a Yamper, all we need is a Ball Guy, honestly. If we get a Ball Guy, we can search for Great Ball, Pokeball, and Quick Ball, and then recycle those cards, recycle our Great Ball and Pokeball with Yamper, doing Quick Ball for Yamper, and then we get to bench a lot of Purloins and then search for multiple Liepards to keep in our hand. If they Marnie us on the next turn, we at least have a few Purloins ready to go, and we can actually search it back with our balls. So it's not that bad. Marnie is not going to completely destroy you. Don't worry about Marnie. I think the worst thing to worry about is not getting the Ball Guy on the first turn, not getting enough basic summons, because if you don't get enough Purloins on your first turn, then you can't discard fast enough, you can't actually draw fast enough, and you can't do big damage fast. And that's a big thing now. Doing big damage is a big thing, because we got Palkia, Arceus to do turbo attacks, to attack on their second turn. Right after evolving, they can already hit like 200 plus damage. So make sure you watch out for that. If you're able to attack going second on your first turn, do it already. That's why Lunatone decks are so good. Lunatone deck is like hyper consistent and doing like really well in the standard format, honestly, just because they don't need anything else. They just need Soul Rock, Lunatone, Pokestop, and Fog Crystal. That's all they need. Greninja to discard extra copies from their hand. So all they need is to discard and bench those Soul Rocks, discard the energy, switch, and they got their first turn kill. First turn, doing 150 damage with Choice Belt. That is a lot. It says a lot. Even if you're not doing a knockout, at least you got some damage in the game. And then, you know, hitting first, attacking first is a big plus. Okay, we got our double turbo. If we can kill this V-Star right now, and then collect the knockout on the VMAX on the bench, we actually win the game. So they just need 3 turns though. We got only 2 turns to pull that off. So we need to be playing the Ludicolo smart. If we do the Ludicolo at the wrong time, we're not gonna make it. So I think we have to do Ludicolo right now. If we're gonna kill the Typhlosion this turn, we got a boss in our hand as well. It's gonna be a bit depressing because now we got 1 Liepard left in our hand. Sorry, in play. So that means we're only able to draw 2 cards. We can't play the Research because we don't want to be drawing. We don't want to be discarding our boss or the rare candy. So we're not able to draw enough cards this turn, unfortunately. We can do the knockout, but we can't prepare for the Shadow Rider on the next turn. We need to prepare for the VMAX knockout. And we're not able to do that with only 2 cards from Liepard. So we got a Marnie, which is really good. How many Gyarados do we have in the discard pile? I think it's enough with the rare candy. So we're going to do it right now. I don't think we need a rare candy if we discard enough for the next turn. If we play a Marnie though, it's going to be a bit more difficult to get the boss back out. I think we're going to do it because we got 8 cards left in the deck. I don't think it's that difficult to draw back the boss. If we get to play, if we get to draw 2 cards as well with Liepard, I think it's smarter to play Marnie first and then discard something, draw 2 cards after playing the Marnie. But I don't think We have enough damage though, so it's better just to discard the Gyarados right now, because 5 is not enough. 160, 260. Well, it's actually enough though, because we got our Ludicolo, right? So we're doing 240 damage. 240 damage is enough to kill the Typhlosion right now. So we don't really need to play an extra discard. It's unnecessary. Let's do our Marnie. We're going to scoop up the Ludicolo and then bench the Yamper right now. We should play the Great Ball just to compress the deck if we have any more. I don't think we have any more Pokemons inside the deck. So we at least get to shuffle the deck, right? Because balls could quite easily end up at the bottom, like at the very bottom of the deck. So let's just shuffle the deck, making sure boss stays at the top. You never know though what's gonna happen after you shuffle the deck, so it's always a risk. Okay. Let's pray that we get the boss on the next turn. We cannot actually kill the Shadow Rider with either Liepard or Yamper. So we got our Scoop Up Net in our hand. We got a Rescue Carrier inside the deck. So we need to either draw the Rescue Carrier or something from the prize. If we can get another Ditto from the prize or another Magikarp, I think we have a lot of Magikarp inside the prize. We actually have only 2 discarded. That means we got 2 Magikarps inside the prize. If we get a Magikarp, all we need to do is scoop up the Yamper for the retreat, and then attack with Raging Fin on the Shadow Rider. So all we need is a boss. So it's always important to check what you have inside the deck, what you have in the prize, and know the situation. Like what is in your discard pile, how many copies is left inside the deck or is inside the prize. So we actually have like 2 cards. We played our Peonia early in the game, if you guys remember, and we got like our Scoop Up Net on the 3rd position and something else on the 1st position. So Bruno is already taken, and now we actually drew a Magikarp. So if we avoid the 1 and 3, we're gonna probably draw at least 1 Magikarp, right? So there we go. If you're smart with the Peonia, it's gonna help you a lot later on in the game. Playing a Peonia is really good because it helps you prepare your prize for later on. And preparing your prize, knowing what's in your prize is a big deal, especially if you're playing decks like Magikarp or Mad Party, decks that require you to draw those Gyarados or Magikarps from the prize, or even Rescue Carrier or even Yamper. Anything could help at any point in the game, even that 1 copy of Boss or Scoop Up Net, you know, anything at all can help in the game. And if you draw it at the right time, it's gonna do a lot for you. That's why Peonia is so good. That's why I love that card so much. It's just the best card ever. Obviously, if you play Peonia, don't mess up your prize after arranging it by playing a Heavy Ball. If you do a Heavy Ball, you're gonna have to shuffle your prize, so that actually messes up the arrangement. Make sure you're aware of that. If you are forced to though, if you need that Heavy Ball to get your extra copies of Magikarp for the extra discard, for the extra damage to do a knockout, then sometimes it's better to do so, because it helps you do a knockout fast. So it's always, it always comes down to the, the situation at hand, what's best to do. We actually got a boss from the top deck. We don't need to draw with our Liepard even, and we get to do the knockout this turn. They actually played a Temple of Sinnoh and couldn't attack. They passed the turn not attacking because they couldn't get their energies for some reason. No energies. They actually have 2 energy already, so all they need is 1 energy from their hand, attaching from their hand. If they got that 1 energy attached from their hand, they can knock out our Ditto, and then that Temple of Sinnoh is not gonna you know, is gonna deny us from attacking because we got no more energies. We got no more energies, guys. I think we got like one more double turbo inside the deck. I'm not too sure. So we need to pass another turn, and I don't think we have another turn to pass because they got another Holo Missile. If they do Holo Flame, I think Holo Flames another time, they got like double knockout. They can kill the Yamper, but if we scoop it up though, I think we're safe. So if they hit twice, I think they win the game. So we got really lucky, but they got the Temple of Sinnoh though. I suppose it makes sense. It's fair that they get the stadium but not the energy. If they get the energy and not the stadium, I think we can still survive. Right? Because all we need is to scoop out the Yamper after benching our Magikarp, attach the energy, boss the VMAX, and then we got our knockout. But if they play the stadium, we can't do that. We cannot attack. So it's kind of fair that they got the stadium but not the energy. Okay, we got Level Ball in this list. A very different game. We got Level Ball, Bird Keeper, you know, the old version of this combo. I eventually decided to scrap those cards. We even have an Irida, I think. Irida to get our Ludicolo, Rare Candy. But just because we are drawing so many cards with our Liepard, we are drawing 2 cards every single turn. It's quite easy to do your Rare Candy evolution. So we don't need Irida anymore, and Irida is only helping you get 1 Pokemon and 1 item, which is not good for a supporter. I would rather play Marnie, Bruno, Research, power supporters like that, or even Avery just for the disruption. And now here comes the Temple of Sinnoh. So that card is going to completely shut us down. We're going to need to search for our Stadium card to remove that trap. We're gonna just do our Yamper. We can't play the Yamper yet, so we are forced to play our Bird Keeper just for the draw. If they get their Rare Candy evolution, they can actually snipe our Lotad for the knockout, but I don't think they're playing Rare Candies. Inteleon decks normally don't play Rare Candy, unless if they're playing like a stage 2 attacker. So for example, Salamence and Inteleon or Obstagoon Inteleon normally plays like a lot of Rare Candies just for them to evolve, and sometimes they can use it for the Inteleon as well, for an early quick shoot or an early Shady Dealings double search. Okay, always attach to your bench, but just because Lotad can do Call for Family, that's why I'm hesitating whether to attach to the bench or the active. Because if they evolve on the next turn, they can kill the Lotad. That means we have, you know, we have to think about retreating with one of our bench Pokemon. We can't retreat anymore, right? If we invest the energy on our bench, we can retreat after the knockout. But if we do that, we can't do Call for Family. I don't think we need to Call for Family though, because we only have 3 copies of Liepard in this deck. The final list has 4 copies, so it's better to play 4 Liepards, a solid 4 copy, for you to draw as much as you can and discard also as many copies as you can of your Magikarp, Gyarados. So we actually played our Call for Family because we were pretty confident that it couldn't do. They couldn't attack on the next turn. All they need is 1 energy and 1 evolution though, so it's quite easy to kill the Lotad right now. Call for Family doing a Ditto means we don't need to retreat. So I suppose that's quite smart, because now we don't need to retreat and we are compressing the deck. And we don't need to search for the Ditto as well. So even if they kill our Lotad this turn, we can still attack with Ditto right after, so it's not a bad deal. We got our Positive Week in our hand. We can remove that Stadium already. We're playing 2 copies for this list. No Pokestop, only 2 Path. So Path actually helps you hit Duraludon. It also helps you remove Temple of Sinnoh. That's probably the most important thing. Temple of Sinnoh is gonna put a big fat block on us. We cannot attack at all. Okay, they killed our Ice Rider. Sorry, they killed our bench Lotad with another Pierce doing a boss instead of evolving into the VMAX for some reason. Because they got the what's it called? They got the Drizzile. They should be searching for an Incense. And do Rite of the High King. That's enough to kill us. I think they're trying to deny us from drawing extra prizes for a VMAX knockout because we are playing a Ludicolo. Ludicolo means we got the chance to do a VMAX knockout with one strike. And I think they're trying to avoid that. I don't know if it's possible. Because if you don't evolve, you cannot attack that easily. You're only doing 40 damage. If you got your Inteleon though, you can collect the knockout quite easily. So 40 damage plus 2 damage counter every single turn. That's enough to kill the one prize. One prize basic, right? Except for Ditto, because it has 70 HP, and Liepard actually has 100 as well. But they got Melanie to fall back on for the second attack. Glacial Lance actually does 200 damage, so they have to discard 2 energies though. We got our boss, so we can actually collect an early prize if we want to. But I think it's better to save the Ditto on the bench. We got our third Purloin, but our third Liepard is in the prize. So that's why I say it's always better to play 4 copies. I tried with 3 copies. It worked really well when I first built the deck. But down the road, it didn't show up. It didn't really work that... It wasn't that solid. Just because you can't bench it that early. You can't search for it that easily. Magikarp keeps showing up. You're playing 4 copies of Magikarp and Gyarados. That means you need at least 4 copies. The max 4 copies for your draw support, right? For your trade ability. For you to evolve as fast as you can. Summon as many copies as you can early in the game. Even if it's just 2 Purloin, you still need 4 copies inside the deck for you to achieve that. And even with 4 copies, as you saw earlier, if you don't get your ball guy or enough balls into your hand, you're not able to bench 2 Purloins even on your first turn. But that doesn't mean you have to concede, right? That doesn't mean you should concede because the game is still on. You still have a chance as long as you play the game right. Sometimes you don't though, because if they are way too fast, like if they're playing Arceus with Sharon or Arceus with cards like Mimikyu VMAX to hit for extra damage counters, or even Arceus Mewtwo V Union. Mewtwo V Union is gonna completely destroy one price decks, especially cards like Magikarp, low HP Pokemons, Ditto Magikarp, anything that are basic Pokemons on the bench, one price basics. Because they get to place 16 damage counters. Even with the Manaphy, you cannot avoid the knockout, the double knockout every single turn. And they're drawing 2 prize for a Mewtwo V Union every single strike. It's only 300 HP though. So even with the big charm, I don't think they can avoid the knockout with our Ludicolo. So I think we stand a good chance against Arceus Mewtwo V Union. If we get a good hand to start, if we get 2 Purloins at least, and 2 Liepards on the next turn. Okay, we get to do the Ludicolo evolution, but I don't think we have enough discards to pull off the knockout. We should still do it though. I don't know if it's smarter to leave Ludicolo for later, because they could quite easily play a Cheryl. But if they do a Cheryl, they can't attack though. They cannot attack on the same turn. That means we got a free strike on the next. So playing the Ludicolo right now helps us scoop it up. Because if we pass a turn with a rare candy in our hand, they're probably gonna play a Marnie. So without the stadium, we cannot attack. So thank God we got our path. Now we get to do Raging Fin. For only 230 damage though, but all we need to do is collect the knockout on the next turn. We are saving the scoop up net for the switch effect, which is actually a smart move on our part, just because we don't have a lot of switch cards in this deck, and we didn't attach a double turbo on our bench, so no energies to retreat means we need our scoop up net inside our hand. We need to keep those cards, but sometimes it's better just to scoop it out right now if you want to do a Ludicolo evolution on your next turn. So if you need to scoop up your Yamper, for example, for extra discards to do the knockout, then do it this turn. But if you can't do a knockout, if you're not preparing for an evolution on the next turn, if you're not preparing your Lotad for the next turn, then if you don't need it, don't use it. Unless you have to. Okay, we're gonna discard the Yamper. I don't know what to discard, honestly. We chose the Choice Belt. So we got 2 copies of Choice Belt for this list. Final upgrade, we decided to scrap 1 copy for an extra supporter or a capture energy, I don't know. But it actually makes the deck much more consistent, because we don't need the Choice Belt if we got extra discards. If we got full discards of the Magikarp Gyarados, then Choice Belt is not that necessary, unless if we don't get our Ludicolo. If we, for example, have all 7 discarded Magikarps and like 1 prize Gyarados, and if they play something like Shaman V-Star with 250, or Whimsicott V-Star with 250 HP, we can still kill it with a Choice Belt. So Choice Belt is something to watch out for, something that's important to play for any deck that you use, especially a 1 prize deck. But I don't think we necessarily need it for this list. That's why we're only playing 1 copy for the bonus effect, because we got Ludicolo and Scoop Up Net. And Ludicolo is really strong, and we are relying on that card to do a knockout, even a V knockout sometimes, because they could play, if they play cards like Cape of Toughness, Big Charm, we cannot kill the V cards that easily, even on a basic. So we got our knockout this turn. They didn't play a Temple of Sinnoh, that's great. And now they're down to no V cards on the bench. No V cards in play means they cannot attack for the knockout. I don't think they're able to. They can still play Raihan for the Inteleon to attack. 120 damage plus 20 more on one of our bench. So if they evolve the Shady Inteleon and then search for a Raihan, I think we're probably screwed, because both players have 3 prize remaining. They got nothing else though on their bench. If they don't bench the Sobble this turn, they're completely screwed. So no attack. They didn't attack, they didn't even do anything. No boss, no Marnie. So now we got no more Magikarp or Gyarados inside the deck. It's either in the prize or fully discarded. So all we need to do right now is to collect 1 prize at a time. We need to watch out though, because we can kill the Drizzile if they don't evolve the next turn. We can kill it with our Yamper. We even got our Choice Belt, so I think we can kill it definitely, even if they evolve it. So Choice Belt for 130 damage plus 100 more from Ludicolo. Sorry, plus 100 more from weakness, right? 130 multiplied by 2, 260 damage is enough to kill any stage 2 card for that matter. Even like Bastion. with Pot Helmet, 260 damage is a lot. Like, one price decks cannot survive that. We got 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒐𝒅𝒏 now though. 𝑑𝑻𝒪𝒐𝒅𝒏 from Pokemon Go with 200 HP. And it is an evolution though, that means you can't play Cape of Toughness for it. So 230 is the max HP you get to pull off for 𝑑𝑚𝒐𝒅𝒏. It would be quite cool if we can see, Quicketeen's ability reprinted as a colorless Pokemon. Reprinted for, revived for a colorless Pokemon. Not reprinted, because Quicketeen is not colorless. But if they come up with like a Jigglypuff or something, a colorless Pokemon, a Gumshoes with the same ability, that would be pretty cool. Right? All of your colorless Pokemon has 40 extra HP. Then you get to play Sharon as well to scoop it up and recycle the effect. 𝑑𝑚𝒐𝒅𝒏 now has 270 HP for one price, which would be crazy bonkers. And they just conceded because they got nothing on the bench. They couldn't attack again. So we won against Ice Rider because they couldn't bench the second copy. So good thing about our deck is that we play a lot of Pokemons. We're playing so many Pokemons, kind of the same as your Met Party deck. If you are fitting in a lot of basics, a lot of Pokemons in your deck, then your opponent is likely not going to get those basics out in time. They cannot bench their basic that early. They cannot evolve that easily. They cannot get their evolutions that easily. So they won't be getting their Pokemons anytime soon without trainer cards if you are playing that many Pokemons in your deck. So that's the one plus side for this Magikarp deck, is that we're playing not just Magikarp Gyarados, we're not playing just our Liepard and Purloin, we're also playing Ditto, Liepard, Ludicolo, and Yamper. So there's a lot of Pokemon in this deck, a lot of Pokemons. Okay, right now we're up against Arceus Duraludon. Duraludon with Skyscraper ability and Arceus for Starbirth. Trinity Nova to charge up in a single turn. Duraludon can attack on the next turn, preventing us from doing damage with its Skyscraper. And that means we need our one copy of what's it called? Path to the Peak to kill the Duraludon. And then if we can kill this active before they retreat, before they have enough energies to attack with Duraludon, that would be great. So our aim is to kill the Arceus right now. So not right now, but before they attack with the Duraludon. And then collecting the knockout on the Arceus is going to help us draw our first two prize. After that, we just need to dig for our path to the peak to do a VMAX knockout with Ludicolo, possibly. And then on the next turn, we just need to boss something on the bench to kill for the final one prize. So we got one boss, one path to the peak in this deck. It's not that easy to get it at the right time, but we do have our Liepard to draw consistently every single turn. So I don't think it's impossible. All we need to do is do things fast. We got our boss already, way too early. They could play a Marnie on the next turn, which would be terrible. Okay, we got our Scuba Net to recycle our Yamper, but I don't think we have a Yamper in play just yet. So now we're not able to do anything. I think we're forced to pass the turn. We're just gonna bench the Magikarp and scoop up the Loto, because I think we need the Loto. We got our path to the peak in our hand, but we're not playing it just yet. Only play it when you can do damage, when you can do a one-hit knockout on the Duraludon. Because if you play it too early, your opponent is going to discard that card, is going to play their own Stadium, and then you have no more Stadium to block that ability. That means Duraludon gets to protect itself from all damage done by your Pokemon. Okay, I think I'm just gonna end the voiceover right here and leave you guys to focus on the game. Today we're featuring the new Magikarp from Pokemon Go with the Raging Fin attack, doing 30 more damage for each Magikarp in the Gyarados in the discard pile. We're also playing our Ball Guy Yamper combo to get our Great Ball Pokeball from the deck and recycle those cards with our Ball Search ability and Scoop Up Net. And that helps us search for not only our Liepard but also our Magikarp and Gyarados to discard from our hand. We even have our Ludicolo to help us do 100 more damage with our Ditto and Magikarp, doing a one-hit knockout against any V-Star or V-Max Pokemon. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day and bye for now, lovely people. Enjoy your life.